Welcome everyone, Marcelo is my name. I'm the niche fragrance collector and I'd like to continue a conversation that I started in June this year. I had an opportunity to travel to Salso Maggiore Terme. I met with an incredible perfumer called Meo Fusciuni. I was able to film in his atelier. I was also able to spend some time with him and also his both business partner, and he calls Federica his lover. All right, so both his business partner and his lover, who is Federica, who he has a very deep and soulful connection to. And I'm going to explain a little bit more what all that means. I've discovered that I am very much in love with Italian perfumers. This could be linked to the fact that my first niche perfume that I encountered was in the town, or in the little town of Florence. And I came across a brand called Santa Maria Novella. And it was here that I discovered that there was a thing called niche perfumery. So I've always been in love with perfumes, I've always been in love with smells, but I didn't realize that people were creating perfumery that wasn't found in a department store. I think that's the thing. That people are now creating niche perfumery on a more personal level. And then there's another layer in that section, perfumers who own their business and then create almost the scent from their souls. And this is Meo Fusciuni. I always had a feeling that this man, and in experiencing his fragrances, there is something different and something that it does resonate with almost your soul. This is now perfumery at another level. It's actually poetry. I think that's the easiest way to define it. It is poetry, but through scent now. It's interesting that he started his life essentially as, he started to be a chemist. So he has that chemistry, molecular structure in place, but then decided that he wanted to express himself through perfume. Meo started the business in 2010, and actually his stage name is Meo Fusciuni. His actual name is Giuseppe Imbrezabile. I think I said that correctly. But it was 2010 that he became Meo. And this is one of his early fragrances. And this is the one that I fell in love with first. And it's interesting, let me just spray. Actually, 2 sprays. What I thought this was going to be is not what it is. I love tobacco notes, I love woody notes, I love aromatic notes. And I had a look at the notes in the fragrance, and it ticked all these boxes. The opening notes are leather with cedar leaves and birch leaves. In the heart, you have sandalwood with patchouli and tobacco. And then in the base notes, amber, vanilla, and benzoin. That tobacco, that leather. These are all notes that I have fragrances with those particular notes. And yet this construct here, if I don't sort of isolate or try to isolate notes, I'm not collecting that. I'm not going, yep, I can smell the cedar leaves or the cedar, I can smell the tobacco, or I can smell the leather. There is nothing in here that really dominates. There's nothing in here that says, yes, I am a leather fragrance, or yes, there's definitely cedar wood in this particular perfume, or the tobacco, the earthiness really comes through, or the vanilla for that matter. There is the only way as I was sort of coming together and with my thoughts on this, there is peaceful harmony. These notes create a peaceful harmony between all of that. To create its own, and to define it, it would be, for me, woody, spicy, aromatic fragrance. But yet even that doesn't quite capture, because I have woody, aromatic, spicy fragrances. This doesn't quite capture all those elements. This is Luce. Now, Luce in Italian means light. And I think this is also the other play with it all. So when you think of the word, you naturally assume that it's about illumination. It's about illuminating a room, creating light and creating the ability to see. But in actual fact, this fragrance is more about inner, and it's more about the inner light, your inner soul. And it's more, the fragrance I feel is more about me personally than about me projecting externally. So it's not the exterior light, it's my inner light. The motivation for the fragrance was derived from the writings of an architect by the name of Louis Kahn. Firstly, Louis Kahn's architecture is very striking, very distinct, but I wanted to understand a little bit more about his writings. What was he saying? And I came across a number of quotes, and one of the quotes stood out to me, which was, "Every common, ordinary brick wants to be something more than it is." And I think this is what Luche is about. This is about me as an ordinary person, but yet I have big dreams. My desire is to be more than just a common ordinary brick. I want to be more. The fragrance is about fortitude. It's about the strength for myself, the strength within. I mentioned earlier that I feel that perfume, so the ability to smell, can transform a mood, can make us think differently, can create some level of fortitude within us. And I find that Luche is that fragrance for me and the way that I like to use it. This fragrance is about stillness. This fragrance is about peace. This fragrance is about tranquility of mind. I find that in the end, I'm getting about 6 to 7 hours from this particular fragrance. As my body continues to heat up, to move around, I'm getting those sweet smells coming through. During my interview with Meo, I did ask him, what made you move into perfumery? Being that he was a chemist and he had a career in this path here. His response was that he wanted to create. I love that there's another great quote by Louis Kahn. "You say to brick, what do you want, brick? Brick says to you, I like an arch. If you say to brick, arches are expensive and I can use a concrete lintel over an opening, what do you think of that, brick?" And brick says, "I like an arch." Other than the fact that he was an incredible architect, I love the poetry and the poignancy of what he's sharing there. And also how I as I read this, I'm like, yeah, I feel the same way. I am a common, ordinary brick. I want to be an arch. I think we all, and in a way, I think we all reach for the lofty. We all want to aspire to do more with ourselves. Meo, the second fragrance, or the second fragrance that I want to talk about is, I feel Meo stretching to be that arch. And in no way, let me just say this, in no way is this man a common, ordinary brick. He is incredibly talented. He mentioned to me when we were together that he meditates with an idea to create his perfume. So I did ask him, sorry, I'll spray this in a sec. I did ask him, what motivates you to create a particular fragrance? Is it like, do you observe, do you look at trends? What's trending right now? Vanilla is a big thing that's popping. So are you going in that space? And he's so softly spoken. He's like, it's almost like I was saying something that was completely foreign to him. He's like, no, he goes that he likes to sit in his atelier. He actually calls it his temple, by the way. He likes to sit in his temple. He likes to meditate, to think, to write down, and allow his life experience to begin to emerge forward. And in that life experience and his memories, does he then capture a moment in time to create a fragrance? And this is what happened here with Encore Du Temps. I find that on first spray, you're getting this very bright mandarin note. For me, the mandarin note really accentuates, comes forward. It's very transient. It moves on very quickly. It's then replaced by a floral apricot scent profile, which is the osmanthus. So when you first spray this, you're getting this very divine, as I said, mandarin note with these floral accents with a slight apricot component to it. It's very feminine. It's just beautifully sublime. But give it time, and all of a sudden there is another nuance that starts to come through. He mentions also in the heart is magnolia and champaca. And both of these notes have a certain level of green animalic components to it. And in time, the fragrance does evolve into this floral, but yet there are some more heavier tones in this. This is my wife's fragrance, and on her, I'm getting, you know what it is too? I love the fact that there's this beautiful interplay between the floral sweetness, feminine, with now these more heavier, slightly animalic and green notes that are in there. So there's this beautiful interplay between this softness, but also this other edge to it too. I find that Encore Du Temps has easy, comfortable 8 to 9 hours. My wife will spray it in the morning. I can smell it when I come back from work. I find that the sillage on this is very strong. We went to a party recently. There was a lot of other fragrances, a lot of other bodies, and I could still smell my wife, to the point where someone came up and sort of said hi to this individual. And I said, "Oh, are you wearing Encore Du Temps?" And he's like, "I don't know what you're talking about." So my wife had hugged him first, and then I hugged this man, and I could smell the fragrance on him. I'm telling you. So where Luce is a fragrance for you, for stillness, for your soul, for calm, for introspective, Encore Du Temps is now something for everyone. This fragrance, he says that it was a memory he had with Federica. He traveled to Laos. Essentially, it's a love song, but it's a love song in 2 parts. One, a love song to his memory of that time in this beautiful country, but also a love song to his lover, to Federica. And it's grabbing these 2 moments together and trying to interpret this in a fragrance. The word Encore Du Temps means still time. But for me, this almost has like a dual meaning. Still time as in there is still time for us to be together, or still time as in can we lock down this moment and not allow time to progress any further. I always think of the practice of sakura in thinking about this still time, where in fact our life, time itself is transient. Things that, we may be having an incredibly wonderful time, but know that it's for a moment. We could be having a horrible time, some very deep sadness, but that too is for a moment. And that's in smelling this, it actually, those facets of what is here now will leave, and somehow trying to capture a moment that is fleeting. For him, it's his memory of Laos, but could it also be his deep love for Federica and trying to capture that, trying to still time, to hold on to, because I feel this, I'm transplanting, I guess, my feelings, because I think of my wife, my love. I want to still that time. I never want her to go. And so, yeah, so all of that is wrapped up in here. Now you think I might be going a little bit too far, but again, watch the video that I created with Meo and you'll find that there is deep poetry in his fragrances. So this now goes beyond, I guess sometimes you hear about large organizations giving a brief to a perfume house and saying, I want you to create a mood, or I want you to create a woman walking down the street and feeling sunshine on the back of her neck. Meo Fusciuni's fragrances is him stilling his mind, understanding his soul, coordinating that into a poem, and then expressing that poem through a fragrance. The man is pretty incredible. If you enjoy perfumes and you already have a preconceived idea as to what certain fragrances are like, you look at notes and you're like, oh yeah, it'll be like this. You need to push that aside when you're looking at any of the Meo Fusciuni fragrances. The notes you might be familiar with, the construct you're not. These notes are now expressing themselves in a whole new way. If you're new to Meo, this is a great place to commence, either at his very beginning, one of his early fragrances, or even on his latest release. Both are fantastic. Thanks everyone, hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you all on the next episode.